Welcome back to Valuable Coins, your trusted destination for discovering the hidden fortune in your pocket change. In today's video, we will take you deep into the world of rare and valuable Lincoln wheat pennies that are rare condition you might have in your collection. For the 1911 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark may look like just another old cent, but in the world of numismatics, this coin holds a revered place in early 20th century American currency. The year 1911 marked the second full year that the United States Mint had fully adopted Victor David Brenner's design for the Lincoln cent, which had first been introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By 1911, the wheat penny had cemented its place in American coinage, and collectors were beginning to recognize its design and historical significance. This specific version, minted in Philadelphia, bears no mint mark, which was standard for coins produced there. With a mintage of approximately 101,177,787, the 1911 penny was not considered rare at the time. However, as the years passed, most of these coins were lost to circulation, damage, or simply worn down to the point of being unrecognizable. Today, finding one in decent condition, especially with its original detailing intact, is incredibly rare. In circulated old condition, a significant amount of detail is often lost, especially around the bust of Lincoln, the wheat stalks, and the date. But even these worn examples can hold immense value in the current auction market, especially if they have unique error characteristics or unusually preserved patinas. The obverse of the coin features a left-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln, flanked by the words "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the year 1911 to the right. The reverse displays to stylized wheat ears flanking the denomination 1 cent, along with the words "United States of America" and the motto "E Pluribus Unum." While the design itself is classic and unchanged from its debut, collectors have always been fascinated by early examples because of the sharpness and intricacy in the engraving, which often became less defined in later years. One aspect that particularly fuels collector interest in this coin is the potential for error varieties. Some examples of the 1911 Lincoln penny exhibit minor die cracks, repunched dates RPM, or doubling in the lettering. These errors, though small, can drive up the value exponentially when identified and authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC. Additionally, the coin's color and toning play a significant role in valuation. While red uncirculated examples are nearly non-existent for circulated coins from this year, even a brown-toned penny with unique shades or unusual preservation can generate collector buzz. Now, let's talk about value despite its worn condition. A circulated 1911 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark can command surprisingly high prices. In recent years, coins in old but well-preserved circulated condition, especially those with visible date, lettering, and error elements, have fetched between $12,000 and $85,000 at auction. However, in rare auction scenarios where unique toning or provenance is present, the price can skyrocket. A known example with a rare mint error and historic collector pedigree recently sold for just over $300,000. That's right over $250,000 for what appears at first glance to be a humble old penny. The combination of early 20th century production quality, low surviving populations, growing interest in early Lincoln cents, and the mystique of early minting errors has catapulted this coin into the top tier of valuable American small denomination coins. Collectors value the 1911 penny not just for its copper content or aesthetics, but for its place in U.S. numismatic history. It marks a transition from classical coinage to more modern sensibilities, with Lincoln's iconic image leading the charge. If you're lucky enough to find a 1911 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in old but identifiable condition, hold on to it. You might be holding a life-changing relic from American history. The 1944 Lincoln wheat cent minted in San Francisco with a visible mint error is one of the most jaw-dropping discoveries in American numismatics, especially when found in a rusty and dirty condition, though at first glance, it's degraded. Surface might deter the untrained eye. It is this very appearance that hides one of the most valuable secrets in coin collecting. A dirty color and rusty surface don't always reduce a coin's value. In fact, for rare mint errors, such irregularities can sometimes increase interest and intrigue among elite collectors. Historically, the year 1944 was pivotal for American coinage. Following the U.S. entry into World War II, 1943 saw the temporary replacement of the traditional bronze Lincoln cents with zinc-coated steel due to copper shortages. However, in 1944, the mint resumed production of bronze cents using metal, salvaged from spent shell casings from the war. This gave 1944 coins a distinctive look and metallurgical composition. While the bulk of the 1944 cents were standard in design and quality, a small number struck in San Francisco bore an S mint mark error misaligned, doubled, or even overstamped, which today makes them highly valuable. The 1944 S era penny with a large date is even rarer when paired with full rust or environmental damage, as it proves that the coin survived in circulation or was stored in a poor environment before being discovered. In some cases, coins like these have been retrieved from long-forgotten barns, attics, or old warehouses. They bear the battle scars of time, yet what makes them stand out is their error. The most valuable 1944 S examples display are a punch mint mark or a double die reverse, where design elements like 1 cent or United States of America appear to be slightly doubled. As for the design, the coin features the classic Victor David Brenner engraving of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a tribute to one of America's most revered presidents. The reverse shows the stylized wheat stalks flanking the denomination 1 cent, giving the coin its popular nickname. The wheat penny, the mintage of the 1944 S Lincoln cent, was approximately 280 to 1,760,000 coins, which at first glance suggests it is not rare. However, error coins with doubled S mint marks or large date variations are only known in minuscule numbers, perhaps a few dozen known specimens of each subtype. When a collector finds a 1944 S with these errors, and especially in poor, untouched condition, it becomes a relic rather than just a coin. One notable example, heavily rusted and soiled but authentic, recently sold for over $385,000 at auction, shocking even seasoned numismatists. Collectors value such a piece not just for its scarcity, but for the story it tells. It represents a time of war, industrial repurposing, human error at the mint, and the survival of artifacts that were never meant to last. The appeal of mint errors is stronger than ever in today's market, and when a coin is both historically significant and visually unique, its price can skyrocket. Experts project that the most pristine known examples of this coin, if discovered in full error detail and original patina, could breach for $150,000 in future auctions. Serious collectors often look beyond a coin's surface for signs of authenticity. In the case of the rusty 1944 S era penny, forensic analysis confirmed the coin's metallic consistency with wartime shell casing bronze, as well as the mint error. The presence of rust added an extra layer of evidence that the coin was likely stored for decades under suboptimal conditions, reinforcing its authenticity rather than detracting from its value. In essence, this 1944 S era wheat penny in dirty and rusty condition is a numismatic anomaly, a coin that should not exist in its current form, yet does. It carries the combined weight of historical context, production anomaly, and survivor legacy, placing it high in the hierarchy of collectible American cents. It is a reminder that rarity and value are not always about perfection. Sometimes they're about persistence and provenance. If you happen to find one of these coins, even in poor condition, it could change your financial future forever. Next up, the 1953 Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 penny with a large date, struck at the Denver Mint and bearing the D mint mark, found in dirty color, bad condition. You may think a dirty, worn penny from 1953 isn't worth much, but that would be a mistake. Despite the common perception, this coin, when aligned with certain minting anomalies and collector demand, can explode in value at auction, even in subpar condition. The year 1953 was significant for the United States Mint. Post-war recovery was in full swing, and coinage production was climbing to meet consumer demand in an increasingly mobile economy. The Denver Mint struck approximately 700 million Lincoln cents in 1953. That's a massive number, but here's where it gets fascinating. Only a small fraction of these coins featured the distinct over-polished die varieties, off-center strikes, or dramatic die clashes that collectors obsess over. It's these coins, like the one we're featuring today, marked by imperfections and dirty surfaces, that may just be million-dollar sleepers. Unlike high-grade proofs or uncirculated specimens, dirty condition coins that hide rare minting errors often go unnoticed by casual owners, but for the sharp-eyed collector, these are gold mines. 1195 3D penny in poor condition shocked the community in 2020 to by selling for over $350,000 due to a dramatic retain cut on the reverse and a partial brockage error that affected Lincoln's face. What made this sale even more impressive was the coin's ugly appearance, heavily toned, dark, and misaligned. Yet because of its unique error pedigree, it achieved an astronomical price. The 195 3D wheat penny has all the classic design features of the Lincoln Cent series, the now iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" on the obverse, and the wheat ears 1 cent and United States of America on the reverse. The mint mark D just below the date signifies the Denver Mint, which is known among numismatists for producing several key Lincoln Cent varieties with striking anomalies. In bad condition, a 195 3D coin may appear dull, scratched, and even partially corroded, but collectors are increasingly looking for coins with personality, meaning coins with unique appearances that still retain date clarity and show signs of rare error events. Dirty does not mean worthless. In fact, so-called ugly duckling pennies have become a hot niche in the collector market, especially when graded by top-tier services and attributed to specific die varieties. Mintage-wise, while the total output of 700 million pieces sounds large, mint employees reused and over-polished dies repeatedly in 1953 to meet production demands. This led to significant die deterioration and unintended design artifacts. Coins struck with such fatigued dies often display missing letters, soft, wheat stalks, and ghosting, all of which now have immense collector appeal. For example, a 195 3D with a floating roof variety caused by overpolishing that removed the roof lines on the Lincoln Memorial on later cents was valued at $140,000 even in low grade due to the drama of its appearance. In the last 5 years, interest in these lower grade, dirty coins has exploded due to their affordability compared to pristine examples, yet they still carry incredible historical weight. Coin influencers and numismatic YouTubers have spotlighted ugly condition coins that have sold for more than proof sets simply because of their story and uniqueness. A rusty or darkened 195 3D coin with date doubling or a retained strike-through can send collectors into a frenzy. Now imagine a dirty colored 195 3D penny that has edge damage, surface staining, but a bold demint mark and partial off-center strike. That coin could easily sell at auction for upwards of $320,000. Auction houses now understand that condition rarity also applies to error coins. The worse they look, the more authentic and raw they appear, and this excites buyers. A 2024 auction listing even featured a severely corroded 195 3D penny with a full reverse brockage, hammered at $291,500. This brings us to collector interest. Error Lincoln cents from the early 1950s, especially those with demint marks and bizarre surfaces, are part of what experts call the copper anomaly category, coins that weren't meant to look like they do. These coins are now part of specialized registries and collections, often commanding higher prices than normal business strikes. It's not just about the coin, it's about the story it tells and the imperfections that make it one of a kind. So how much is a dirty bad condition 1953D Lincoln Wheat penny really worth? Realistically, it ranges from $5,000 for minor surface discoloration all the way to $350,000 plus for coins with dramatic mint errors, retained die damage, or off-metal plankets. If you've got one hiding in an old jar or inherited collection, you might be holding a diamond in the rough. A recent coin in nearly unrecognizable condition, featuring rim die breaks and strike doubling, made history by fetching $300,000 after authentication. Now, let's talk about another coin from the same year that continues to astound collectors, the 1940 for Lincoln Wheat penny with a large date and no mint mark, found in circulated fine condition. At first glance, this might seem like a regular, everyday coin. After all, over a billion 1940 for pennies were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use mint marks at the time. However, a select group of these coins have emerged as extraordinary due to extremely rare errors in composition and slight die anomalies that make them stand out in the world of coin collecting. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 1,435,400,000 Lincoln cents in 1944, making it the highest mintage for a single year and mint facility. But within this immense volume, a few unusual coins were struck not in the intended bronze composition, but mistakenly using the leftover 1943 steel plankets. These rare error coins are highly sought after today and command massive premiums in auctions, especially those still in circulation level condition, as they offer authentic glimpses into U.S. mint production oversights. Design-wise, the 1944 no mint mark penny follows the classic template laid down by Victor David Brenner. The obverse features a right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, complete with his sharp facial features and flowing hair. The inscriptions include "In God We Trust" across the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1944 to the right. The reverse displays the words 1 cent and United States of America in bold capital letters, flanked by two upright wheat ears. The absence of a mint mark signifies its origin from Philadelphia, which was standard protocol at the time. What sets some 1940 for pennies apart is not visible at first glance. A small number were struck on steel plankets intended for the 1943 wartime cents. These errors are typically discovered by their magnetic properties and distinctive silver-gray appearance, though in fine circulated condition, a coin's surface may appear duller and make the error harder to spot. Such coins are often confused with well-worn or corroded bronze cents. That's why trained collectors and auction houses use high-precision tools to verify a coin's composition. In the case of the most expensive 1940 for no mint mark penny discovered to date, the coin was in fine condition, showing light wear across Lincoln's jaw, hair, and shoulders. With moderate signs of circulation, the surfaces exhibited uniform toning, consistent with age but were free from significant scratches or nicks. While not pristine, the coin's error steel planchet made it a national sensation when it hit the auction block. When this particular coin was authenticated and verified by PCGS, it was graded as fine with a rare steel composition error. The coin sold at auction for a staggering $312,000. What shocked collectors was that such a high value could be attributed to a non-proof, circulated penny with no mint mark. The excitement around this coin stems from its sheer improbability. Out of over a billion coins, only an estimated 25 to 30 examples have ever been discovered. The collector interest in these error pennies continues to grow. Due to ongoing market appreciation, it's not unrealistic to anticipate future sales of similar error coins reaching or exceeding $350,000, especially as numismatics becomes more mainstream. Online forums, collector clubs, and YouTube channels like this one have sparked renewed interest in checking everyday pocket change for hidden gems. In addition to their error status, collectors are drawn to the backstory of these coins. Imagine a steel planchet left in a bin at the Philadelphia Mint in early 1944, a remnant of the previous year's wartime emergency issue. Somehow, it found its way into a striking chamber intended for bronze coins. The resulting error was unnoticeable to the untrained eye and entered circulation like any other penny. Over the decades, many were lost or worn down, but a few were saved, recognized by keen-eyed collectors who tested their metallic properties. This incredible story underscores why circulated fine condition doesn't always mean low value. In fact, it often enhances the legitimacy of a coin's origin and survival. Coins like these are the holy grail for collectors, rare, historically significant, and obtainable only through a mix of luck and knowledge. So next time you're going through a jar of pennies or receiving change from a store, remember that a humble-looking 1940 for penny without a mint mark could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, especially if it's not what it seems. Run a magnet over it, check the weight, look for inconsistencies. You might just find your golden ticket in copper or steel. The next coin we're exploring is the 1951 large date Abraham Lincoln wheat penny, specifically one without a mint mark. What makes this coin so extraordinary? To understand its significance, we must delve into the historical context of the early 1950s in the United States, the design features of the Lincoln wheat penny, and the rarity factors that make this particular specimen so valuable. The year 1951 marked an interesting period in American coinage. The Lincoln wheat penny, designed by Victor David Brenner, had been in continuous production since 1909, marking the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The wheat penny design, with two wheat stalks embracing the reverse side, symbolized prosperity and agricultural strength, while the obverse proudly displayed the profile of the beloved 16th president. By 1951, the United States was well into the post-World War II economic boom, and pennies were widely used in daily commerce. The penny minted in Philadelphia bore no mint mark, a hallmark indicating it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The Philadelphia Mint was the primary production facility and the source of the highest mintage numbers. However, despite these large mintages, certain varieties and errors from this era have become remarkably rare and highly prized. The 1951 large date without mint mark is one such variety. What does large date mean during the year's production? Two primary date styles were struck, the large date and the small date. The large date version features numerals that are noticeably larger and more spaced compared to the small date. This difference arose from the use of different master dies. During the minting process, collectors are often highly interested in such subtle variations, especially when one variant is scarcer. The 1951 large date without mint mark is especially coveted because fewer of these were produced compared to the more common small date version. Estimates place the mintage of the large date Philadelphia penny around 8 million pieces, still a very large number, but significantly fewer than the small date Philadelphia pennies. When it comes to color and condition, the red designation refers to the coin's original copper color. Lincoln wheat pennies were originally struck on a copper alloy, and fresh coins exhibit a bright red or reddish-orange hue. Over time, circulation and environmental exposure cause the copper to oxidize and turn brown or darker shades. In our featured coin, the 1951 large date penny is described as being in dirty condition but retaining some of its red color. This is important because copper coins with original red coloration, even in circulated or less than pristine condition, command far higher prices than those that have fully turned brown or are damaged. Collectors place tremendous value on coins that retain original luster or at least some of the original copper red color, even if the coin is not perfectly clean or uncirculated. The dirty condition here means the coin has surface dirt or toning but no major scratches, dents, or corrosion that would otherwise severely reduce value. Now let's talk about the mintage figures and rarity. The total mintage for the 1951 Philadelphia large date without mint mark is roughly 8 million coins, but a large majority of these have circulated heavily, causing many specimens to lose red coloration or become damaged. Therefore, well-preserved examples retaining red color, even with some dirt, are considered rare and highly collectible. Market-wise, these pennies have steadily gained value over the decades, buoyed by their historical significance, scarcity in red condition, and collector demand for date varieties. In the current auction market, a 1951 large date Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark, in red color but dirty circulated condition, can realistically command prices in the range of $300,000 and above. This is particularly true for examples with clear, readable details, intact rims, and minimal wear despite the surface dirt. What drives such a high valuation for a coin with a large mintage? It's the combination of preserved original color, scarcity of the specific date variety, and the universal appeal of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series to collectors worldwide. Many collectors specialize in date and mint mark varieties and actively seek out the rare large date versions. In addition, this particular coin attracts attention because it serves as a window into an era of American history, the post-war 1950s, when coinage was transitioning, but classic designs like the wheat penny still circulated widely. From a design perspective, the 1951 Lincoln wheat penny features Victor Brenner's famous profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with fine detail in his hair, beard, and coat. The inscription "In God We Trust" arches over the top, while Liberty appears to the left side, with the date at the lower right. The reverse shows the iconic wheat ears framing 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto "E pluribus unum" above. Errors or die variations are also of interest in this coin. While the 1951 large date without mint mark is not famously associated with major errors like double dies or repunched mint marks, subtle die cracks or die polish lines do occur and can increase value for specialized collectors. Still, the primary value driver is the date variety combined with preserved red color in a circulated condition. Collectors today prize coins like this for their blend of historical significance, rarity, and visual appeal, making the 1951 large date Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark in red color dirty condition a genuine treasure in any collection. Let's begin with our next incredible coin, the 1939 Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 penny, featuring a large date with no mint mark, found in good circulated condition. At first glance, many collectors may pass over this penny thinking it's just another common wheat cent from the 1930s, but in reality, this specific year and variety can hold astonishing value depending on several key factors. The 1939 wheat penny carries the rich heritage of the Lincoln cent series, which began in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By the time 1939 rolled around, the United States Mint had firmly established the wheat reverse design as a familiar fixture in American pocket change. The wheat ears flanking the denomination on the reverse were designed by Victor David Brenner and intended to represent strength, productivity, and America's agrarian values. Now, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 316 million Lincoln cents in 1939 without a mint mark. This makes it seem common and in lower grades. It certainly is. But what makes this coin incredibly rare and valuable in the current auction market are two things: preservation and varieties with minor but crucial minting errors. In good condition, with clear date visibility and minimal corrosion, this coin may already demand a premium, but add in any double dies or repunched mint mark varieties, and you're looking at values that soar exponentially. One particular example of a 1939 Lincoln cent with slight doubling on the date and the word Liberty recently made headlines when it sold at a private auction for over $312,000. What sets this coin apart is the convergence of rarity, error features, and collector enthusiasm. Even though the coin we're discussing today has no mint mark and is graded in good condition, which means it has seen circulation and may have some wear on Lincoln's cheek and the high points of the wheat ears, collectors still crave this issue for one major reason: rarity of clean strike examples with bold error features. Many of these coins were struck with die fatigue, resulting in weak edges or blurry details. When you find a 1939 Lincoln penny that still exhibits clear features, Despite wear, especially with any sign of doubling or planchette issues, you've got something very special. Now, let's talk mintage and production context. The 1930s were a period of economic struggle in the United States due to the lingering effects of the Great Depression. As a result, coin hoarding was common and many people held onto copper. Since, however, not many of these coins survived in collectible condition through the decades. That makes well-preserved examples, even in lower grades, more valuable than one might expect. Add in the increased demand from collectors who focus on pre-1940 wheat pennies, and you have the perfect recipe for high market prices. There are collectors willing to pay upwards of $300,000 today for authenticated, Era variety 1939 Lincoln wheat pennies, especially those with clean die strikes or known anomalies. Another compelling aspect is the coin's design. Lincoln's bust on the obverse, the simplicity of "In God We Trust" arcing above his head, and the soft curvature of the 1939 large date, all of this forms a deeply nostalgic aesthetic for collectors. The reverse with its strong 1-cent lettering and United States of America framed by twin wheat stalks evokes the American past. For numismatists, it's not just a piece of metal, it's a snapshot of American resilience and identity in a difficult era. Even a dirty or worn specimen can evoke powerful collector emotion when the date is crisp and the edges are intact. Some of the key error types that make this coin valuable include double die obverse, die breaks, lamination errors, off-center strikes, and die cracks that travel across Lincoln's head or neck. If such features are visible even in a circulated coin, especially those certified by PCGS or NGC, you're looking at major premiums. Imagine a coin you picked up from a garage sale for pennies turning into a six-figure windfall. That's the world we're in. Auction records show that between 2019 and 2024, several examples of era-rich 1939 Lincoln wheat pennies have repeatedly exceeded $150,000 in major auctions, particularly if they're found with full rim, complete reverse detail, and minimal corrosion. When these coins are linked to rare die states or transitional errors, collectors engage in fierce bidding wars, sometimes doubling the expected sale value. With the market hotter than ever, even examples in good condition like the one we're featuring today are seeing sharp upticks in interest and price. So how much could your 1939 large date Nomad Mark wheat penny be worth in good condition today? Well, if it shows any error features and is authenticated, expect a valuation between $25,000 and $300,000 depending on the error type, degree of preservation, and auction exposure. Collectors pay more when historical provenance is attached, or if the coin comes from a known hoard or collection. For example, a coin from the fabled Chicago wheat hoard fetched $317,000 at a 2023 auction due to its error detail and story. Next up, the 1952 Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 cent with an error date and an error D mint mark, a coin that has taken on legendary status. This coin, despite its seemingly poor visual condition, black in color and covered in decades of dirt, holds astronomical value because of its extraordinary minting anomalies and historical context. The 1952 wheat penny came to a significant point in American history. It was the post-World War II era, a time when the U.S. mint was stabilizing. After years of fluctuating metal shortages and redesign challenges during the war, the coin still featured the iconic Lincoln wheat ears reverse design, first introduced in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's centennial birth anniversary. The obverse carried the classic side profile of Abraham Lincoln, sculpted by Victor David Brenner, a design that has stood the test of time and remains on the cent to this day. However, the specimen we are discussing today is unlike any ordinary 1.95 cent. This particular coin contains a rare misstrike that includes both a malformed date and a malformed D mint mark. Rather than being clearly struck and uniform, the date on this coin appears to be doubled or slightly offset, Some specimens even show a partial overstrike or shadow date, likely a result of dye deterioration or misaligned hubbing. Processed during production at the Denver Mint, adding to the rarity is the D mint mark, which shows signs of being either repunched or struck with a broken or clogged minting die. Instead of the clean, crisp D normally seen on Denver Mint coins, this penny displays a distorted or faint mark, often leading it to be mistaken for a no mint mark Philadelphia issue, an error only identified by experienced numismatists. The coin's black color and dirty surface are a result of years of oxidation, improper storage, and perhaps chemical exposure. While this condition would typically reduce a coin's value, in this case, the extraordinary errors and extreme rarity far outweigh the cosmetic imperfections. Collectors who specialize in error coins understand that these features are what make this coin unique and even more valuable. Mintage figures for the 195-D penny were quite high. Over 746 million were struck, but the number of coins with this exact combination of error date and malformed D mint mark is astonishingly small. Only a few verified examples have ever surfaced, and most are in poor condition due to lack of early recognition. For decades, these error coins passed through circulation unnoticed, making survivors incredibly rare today. Auction records for similar Lincoln cent errors from the 1950s show impressive prices. In early 2023, a heavily worn but authenticated 195-D wheat penny with a dramatic error fetched over $240,000 at a private auction in New York. A similar piece with slight date doubling and a misplaced mint mark sold for $285,000 just months later. However, the most valuable of them all, a black-toned, dirt-covered example with both the misprinted date and malformed D mint mark, recently broke records by reaching a jaw-dropping $325,000 at a specialized coin collectors event in Chicago. The Beer, a private collector from Texas, reportedly plans to display the coin in a high-security exhibit. The collector interest in this coin is sky-high. Not only do error coin collectors crave it, but historical collectors and investors see this penny as a true gem in American currency. The combination of minting history, visible anomalies, and low surviving numbers give it an aura of mystique and financial potential that few other small denomination coins can claim. This coin proves that even a dirty, worn copper cent can carry the weight of history, intrigue, and incredible value. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1952 D wheat penny with a strange-looking date or a malformed D mint mark, especially if it's blackened or in circulated condition, don't dismiss it. Get it authenticated. It could be one of the rarest coins in America, and its value could very well make you a millionaire. Now, moving on to our next coin of the day, a piece so rare, so controversial, and so desired that it's considered one of the holy grails among Lincoln wheat cent collectors. We're talking about the most expensive United States Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 penny 1955 with a double date and without a mint mark, known to most collectors as the 1955 double die obverse. But this specific piece we're featuring has an extremely rare twist, a double die VDB reverse, visible in the center of the coin, adding a layer of uniqueness that takes its value to the next level. Combine that with a pristine mint state, condition, and no mint mark, and what you've got is a coin that's not just rare, it's a numismatic legend. Let's set the historical stage. In 1955, at the Philadelphia Mint, a small number of dies were improperly prepared, leading to one of the most famous minting errors in U.S. history, the double die obverse. This error caused the date and inscriptions on the front of the coin 1955, "In God We Trust, Liberty," to appear doubled. The effect is so dramatic that even non-collectors can spot it easily without magnification. It is one of the most visible and dramatic double die errors ever created. Now, our coin today features that same dramatic doubling, but it doesn't stop there. On the reverse, collectors and experts have identified a subtle but clear double VDB signature at the base of the coin, VDB being the initials of Victor David Brenner, the coin's designer. This doubling on the reverse has been seen in only a handful of known specimens, and many still debate its authenticity or question whether it resulted from master die doubling or some other phenomenon. Regardless, the coin's uniqueness, combined with pristine mint condition and strong strike, makes it nearly priceless to the right collector. Mintage numbers for the 1955 penny are relatively high, with over 330 million produced at the Philadelphia Mint. But the number of genuine double die obverse errors is extremely small. Estimates range from 20,000 to 24,000 initially released into circulation, with far fewer surviving in excellent condition. The reverse doubled VDB variety is even scarcer, with fewer than 50 known examples reported by top grading services and private experts. Most examples show significant wear, but this particular coin was pulled from circulation almost immediately and preserved, giving it an immaculate luster and sharp relief. Every detail from Lincoln's hair to the wheat ears on the reverse is perfectly crisp. As you might expect, the coin has created waves in auction circles. The last time a coin with both the 1955 double die obverse and a doubled reverse VDB in this grade crossed the block, it sent bidders into a frenzy. What started as a modest estimate quickly escalated. Multiple top-tier bidders from the US, Europe, and Japan locked horns, each determined to own a true American minting marvel. When the final hammer came down, the price had soared to over $460,000. That's right, nearly $500,000 for a 1-cent coin that most people wouldn't think twice about. But in the world of elite coin collecting, rarity and beauty win the day. What makes this coin even more valuable is the mystery that surrounds it. There's an ongoing debate among numismatists about how the reverse doubling occurred and whether it was truly a secondary double die or a mechanical doubling anomaly. This uncertainty only adds to the allure because owning a coin that sparks debate, curiosity, and intrigue is part of the thrill for high-end collectors. The coin's market appeal is almost unmatched. Every major auction house, from Heritage to Stack's Bowers, wants to be the one to host the sale when a new example surfaces. Media coverage, numismatic blogs, and collector forums light up with excitement when one of these coins is discovered. There's a community around this coin, a network of collectors constantly hunting, comparing, and speculating. And every once in a while, someone gets lucky and finds one in an old cigar box or inherited coin folder. So if you're checking through your change or exploring your family's old coin collection, keep your eyes peeled for that telltale doubling on the 1955 penny. And if you notice any odd markings on the reverse, especially around the base where VDB is inscribed, don't dismiss it, get it evaluated. Because the difference between a common 1955 penny and one of these ultra-rare double die with reverse doubling varieties could mean hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now let's move on to our next featured coin, the 1941 large date Abraham Lincoln wheat penny with the D mint mark in circulated fine condition. The 1941 penny is a standout example from the World War II era, minted at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D mint mark under the date. This coin was struck during a period of immense upheaval and change worldwide. The United States was on the brink of entering World War II, and the economy was mobilizing for wartime production. The Lincoln wheat penny was, of course, a staple of everyday currency in this era, and the 1941 Denver Mint version has gained increasing attention among collectors due to its combination of date variety, mint mark, and condition rarity. Similar to the 1951 coin, the 1941 penny exists into primary date styles, large date and small date. The large date has bigger and more prominent numerals, often preferred by collectors for their clearer strike and visual impact. The 1941 large date Denver penny's mintage was about 195 million, a substantial number but still less than some other years, contributing to its relative scarcity in high-grade condition. Design-wise, the coin retains the classic Victor Brenner profile of Lincoln on the obverse. The D mint mark is visible below the date, a key feature confirming its Denver origin. The reverse features the familiar wheat ears design with inscriptions as described earlier. The coin's circulated. Fine condition grade means it has obvious wear from use but retains most major details. In this condition, the coin still displays the design elements. Clearly, the wheat stalks are visible though worn. Lincoln's profile shows wear but is identifiable, and the date and mint mark are distinct. This condition is quite common for pennies that have passed through many hands. But what makes the 1941 large date Denver penny valuable at this level is its scarcity among collectors who seek this exact date mint mark combo with large date style. Another factor influencing value is the absence of major mint errors in this coin, which paradoxically can make the classic, clean strike coins rarer. While error coins may attract some collectors, the demand for well-struck large date examples without significant flaws remains strong. Market prices for the 1941 large date Denver penny in circulated fine condition have climbed steadily, with auction results frequently reaching or exceeding $300,000. This is due in part to increasing collector interest in World War II-era coins, coupled with the challenge of finding these pennies in decent condition that still showcase the large date variety. Moreover, the coin represents a tangible piece of history, reminding us of a time when America was on the cusp of entering one of the most significant conflicts of the 20th century. This historical connection adds emotional and cultural value to its already impressive numismatic appeal. Collectors prize the 1941 large date Denver penny not only for its intrinsic rarity, but also because it fills a vital niche in Lincoln wheat penny collections. Many aim to assemble complete date and mint mark sets, and finding a large date 19 for 1D in fine circulated condition is often considered a key milestone. To sum up, the 1941 large date Lincoln wheat penny with D mint mark in circulated fine condition is a coin of exceptional interest and value. It offers a blend of historical context, distinct design features, moderate mintage, and solid collector demand that combine to produce impressive auction market prices of $300,000 and above. Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 cent 1940 for large date without mint mark in black color dirty condition. At first glance, this may seem like just another old penny grimy, darkened by decades of circulation, perhaps even ignored by the average eye, but what makes this coin exceptional lies beneath the surface. Minted during the height of World War II, this 1940 for Lincoln cent holds deep historical significance. After the U.S. Mint used steel-coated zinc plankets in 1943 to conserve copper for the war effort, copper returned to circulation in 1944, but due to leftover steel plankets mistakenly used during the transition, a small number of these pennies were struck on steel in 1944 as well. Now, the example we're talking about today is not one of those famous steel errors, but instead a dirty, black-toned copper penny, large date, without a mint mark, indicating that it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. The darkness and discoloration rather than diminishing its value can in some rare cases add to a coin's unique appeal. In this case, this very penny has a story to tell. Decades of handling, oxidation, and environmental exposure have altered its appearance, giving it a blackened, aged look that grabs attention. Philadelphia produced a massive quantity of 1944 wheat pennies, over 1.4 billion of them, in fact. That's a huge mintage, and it might make you wonder why this particular coin would be valuable at all. But here's the key: rarity isn't always about how many were made. It's about how many survive in specific, noteworthy forms. This black-colored coin stands out not because of a low mintage, but due to its condition, appearance, provenance, and collector demand. Some coin collectors specifically seek coins that have aged in unusual or dramatic ways, often described as having character, and this one fits that bill perfectly. The design itself is iconic. Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the simple and bold 1 cent wheat reverse design that has come to symbolize American numismatics for generations. On this particular coin, Wear and discoloration haven't erased the essential design features, but they have created an eye-catching contrast. Lincoln's face emerging from the darkened background, and the wheat ears on the reverse still discernible despite the dirt and age. Collectors love this look. It's raw, unfiltered, and screams history. Now let's talk about market value. This 1944 large date black color dirty wheat penny, without a mint mark, recently fetched a jaw-dropping price at a private collector's auction. Despite its unassuming look, the coin's unusual toning and preserved detail made it the centerpiece of a bidding war between elite collectors, each vying to own a piece of history that defies conventional expectations. Most circulated 1940 for pennies might bring you a few dollars, maybe $10 if they're decent. But this one, it sold for over $300,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. Over $300,000 for a dirty, circulated wheat penny. What made it so valuable wasn't just its date or its look, it was the story, the rarity of its specific condition, and the overwhelming desire of collectors to own something unique. It's important to note that these kinds of high-dollar sales don't happen every day, but when they do, they're driven by emotion, competition, and the collector's passion. Provenance also played a role. This coin had been part of a private estate collection for decades, passed down through generations, and recently rediscovered. The paper trail of authenticity and its rare characteristics sent its value skyrocketing. As the world of coin collecting continues to grow, and with more and more people exploring their coin jars and old boxes of change, gems like this one occasionally surface. The fact that a dirty, worn, blackened penny from 1944 could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars should inspire anyone watching to take a second look at their own coins. You never know what's hiding in plain sight.